Subaru is back. And for the first time in 10 years of history, Re:Zero is gearing up for what could be its greatest season yet. The creditless opening for Re:Zero Starting Life in Another World Season 4 was just officially revealed at Anime Japan 2026, and to say it made an impact on the community would be an understatement. So today we are going to cover everything: the opening itself, the music, what the visuals are telling us about the season ahead, what to expect from the arc being adapted, the staff behind it all, and why this particular season is one of the most anticipated in recent anime history. Let's get into it. A little context before everything else. Re:Zero started in 2016. It is genuinely hard to believe that 10 years have passed. The series follows Natsuki Subaru, a young Japanese man who is mysteriously transported to a fantasy world with no explanation. He has no special powers, no magic, received no gift from any goddess. The only ability he possesses is called Return by Death. Every time he dies, time rewinds to a previous checkpoint, and only he retains the memories of what happened. It sounds like an advantage on paper, but in practice it is one of the most brutally painful abilities any anime protagonist has ever been forced to carry. What separates Re:Zero from almost everything else in the isekai genre is exactly that emotional brutality. Subaru is not a classic hero. He is anxious, desperate, makes terrible mistakes, breaks down completely, makes horrific decisions driven by panic. And the cost of using Return by Death is never forgotten. Each loop carries weight, trauma, and memories that only he can bear. It is an anime that treats its protagonist with an almost singular cruelty, and that is precisely what makes it so emotionally powerful. Season 3 covered the Pristella arc, the Battle of Pristella, and it was devastating in the best possible sense. Coming out of that season, here is where the world stands. Rem is still unconscious and erased from everyone's memory, a victim of the Sin Archbishop of Gluttony. Julius Jaculius, the noble knight and Subaru's rival, had his very identity devoured. Literally, no one remembers that Julius exists anymore. Anastasia Hashin cannot return to her own body, which has been taken over by the artificial spirit Eridna. And Crush Karsten has lost her memories entirely. Season 4 begins from this devastated foundation. The opening, Recollect by Konomi Suzuki feat. Ashniko. Before talking about what the opening shows visually, we need to talk about the music itself, because this collaboration is genuinely historic for the franchise. Konomi Suzuki is a name every corner of the Re:Zero community knows by heart. She sang Redo, the opening for Season 2, which is still considered one of the best anime openings of the last decade. A song so perfectly aligned with the tone of Subaru rising from defeat that it became inseparable from the series' identity. She also performed Realize, the opening for Season 2's Emilia arc, among other songs tied to the franchise across the years. Konomi Suzuki's involvement is not just a musical choice, it is a signal. It means this season carries the same emotional weight as everything that came before. The new element is Ashniko. For those unfamiliar, Ashniko is an American artist who went viral globally on platforms like TikTok and built a career around a very particular sonic identity: alternative rap, lyrics that are simultaneously aggressive and melancholic, a presence that mixes fragility and anger in a way that very few artists achieve. The detail that most people outside the anime community do not know is that Ashniko is a declared Re:Zero fan. In her own words upon announcing the collaboration, "This is my favorite anime of all time, and I can't believe the stars aligned for this to happen. Thank you to anime song Queen Konomi Suzuki for being so welcoming and collaborative." That is not marketing copy. That is a fan being brought on for a project she genuinely loved. The musical production was handed to Giga and Teddy Lloyd. Giga is well established in the Japanese electronic and anime music scene, and Teddy Lloyd is one of the most creative composers working in that space. He has moved between wildly different projects with consistent quality throughout his career. Their combination creates a sonic foundation that makes perfect sense for what Re:Zero Season 4 needs to be. Simultaneously epic and heavy, full of urgency without losing the sense that something is unraveling. Recollect. The title itself is already a script. To recollect, to gather memories back. In a season where some of the central characters have had their identities and memories literally erased, and where Subaru will face the terrifying possibility of losing his own memories, the choice of the single word as a title is precise and intentional. The lyrics, according to information released by the production team, deal with the act of finding your way back to love even when everything around you is crumbling, which is fundamentally what Subaru does in every loop. He loses everything, and he keeps trying. The song was performed live on the Anime Japan 2026 stage by Konomi Suzuki, in front of a live audience, and by all accounts the performance was electric. There is something genuinely powerful about hearing an anime theme performed live in the context of a season announcement, because it strips away every filter between the audience and the emotional impact of the work. The creditless opening has been officially released and is available on the franchise's official YouTube channel. It rewards multiple viewings because every visual detail was placed there with intention. What the opening is showing us: visual analysis. Re:Zero openings have always been built to function on two levels. A first watch where you absorb the aesthetic and the energy, and a second watch after seeing the season, where you realize half of what you saw were clues that made no sense yet. The Season 4 opening begins with images of the Pleiades Watchtower, the central setting of Arc 6, which is what this season will be adapting. The tower appears on the horizon of a vast desert, the Auguria sand dunes, isolated and imposing. There is something deliberately oppressive about that opening image. The tower does not invite, it intimidates. Subaru appears in this opening with a different visual register than we have been used to. He looks more worn down, older internally, carrying something that is not being said aloud. Emilia appears with a bearing that goes beyond the royal candidate role the series established for her. There is a determination that suggests Season 4 is going to be, in many ways, Emilia's biggest season of growth as a character. The opening introduces Shala, the major new name of this season, in a way that immediately tells you she is not what she seems. The way she is framed oscillates between something warm and something threatening, often within the same visual shot. That ambiguity is deliberate and is exactly the mirror of what Shala represents in the story. There are also images that appear to reference the Library of the Dead, one of the most disturbing and fascinating elements of Arc 6, and moments involving Subaru that suggest looping, fragmentation, the sense that reality is not behaving the way it should. A Re:Zero opening without enigmatic images that will only make sense later would not be a Re:Zero opening at all. The closing of the opening features Subaru standing, looking toward the tower, with Emilia beside him. It is a visually simple image, but the weight it carries, the two of them together with everything that waits inside that tower, makes it probably the most emotionally loaded image in the entire sequence. The staff behind it all. White Fox continues as the animation studio, which is a critically important continuity. It is rare for a series with the scope and prestige of Re:Zero to maintain the same studio across so many seasons, and that consistency shows in the visual quality and in the way characters move and are expressed on screen. Worth noting, in July 2025, Alphapolis acquired shares of White Fox, making it a subsidiary, a behind-the-scenes structural change that so far has shown no negative impact on the Season 4 production pipeline. Masahiro Shinohara continues as director, the same director who has helmed all previous seasons. Masahiro Yakutani returns for series composition, Haruka Sagawa for character designs, and Kenichiro Suehiro for music composition. It is essentially the same creative team that built everything you already love about this series, now applying that accumulated experience to the most psychologically dense and complex arc Tappei Nagatsuki has ever written. On the voice cast side, Yusuke Kobayashi as Subaru and Rie Takahashi as Emilia return as expected. The major new additions are Fairuz AI as Shala and Tomokazu Sugita as Ridastria. Fairuz AI is widely known for voicing Power in Chainsaw Man and Jolin Kujo in Stone Ocean. She has a remarkable ability to bring to life characters who are simultaneously hilarious and unsettling, who feel light on the surface but hide something far more complicated underneath. It is a perfect casting choice for Shala. Tomokazu Sugita is a legend of Japanese voice acting, Joseph Joestar, Escanor, Broly, and countless others, and he is voicing Ridastria, the greatest swordsman who ever lived in the world of Re:Zero. The announcement of that casting alone was enough to set the community on fire with anticipation. What to expect from the season, Arc 6. Season 4 will adapt Arc 6 of Tappei Nagatsuki's light novel, known as The Corridor of Memories, or informally the Pleiades Watchtower arc. It consists of 19 episodes in total, divided into two parts with their own structures and titles. The Lost arc begins on April 8, 2026, and runs for 11 episodes. After that, there is a break of approximately 2 months. The Recapture arc begins on August 12, 2026 with 8 episodes. The premiere episode of Season 4 is episode 67 in the series' overall numbering. The names of the two arcs, Loss and Recapture, are a clear emotional roadmap for anyone who knows how to read it. The loss arc is not named that casually. Subaru is going to lose things this season, not in a vague or metaphorical sense, in a concrete, brutal, direct sense. The recapture arc is the answer to that, the attempt to take back what was taken. The central mission of Arc 6 starts from the urgent need to find a solution for what the Sin Archbishops did during the Battle of Pristella. Rem remains erased. She exists physically, but no one in the world except Subaru remembers her. Julius had his identity devoured by gluttony. Anastasia cannot return to her own body. To address all of this, the Amelia camp allies with members of the Anastasia camp and sets out for the Auguria Sand Dunes, a vast, dangerous desert within the kingdom of Lagunica, in search of the Pleiades Watchtower, where a supposedly all-knowing sage is rumored to reside. The complication: not even Reinhard van Astria, the current generation sword saint and one of the most powerful beings in the Re-Zero world, managed to cross the sand's defenses and reach the tower. Subaru's group only makes it through with the help of a former enemy, and by exploiting a specific window during a sandstorm. When they arrive at the tower, they find Shala, who calls herself the Sage, though the reality behind that title is far more complicated, and discover that the entire tower is a series of trials. To access the knowledge they are seeking, they must overcome each challenge. But the trials are not the only problem. 3 Sin Archbishops of Gluttony arrive at the tower hunting Subaru, who carries the scent of the witch. There is a possible traitor within the group. An army of magical creatures invades the tower. Redestria, the greatest swordsman in history, dead for centuries, but whose soul is trapped in one of the tower's trials, presents an obstacle that would normally be insurmountable. And then there is the most disturbing element of the entire arc. Subaru starts losing his own memory. The one thing that makes him unique in the world, the memory of everything he has experienced across every loop, begins to disappear. This is where Arc 6 becomes something different from anything Re-Zero had done before. It is not just a survival story. It is a story about identity, about what remains of you when you lose access to your own experiences, about what it means to be Natsuki Subaru when even that is being called into question. For Amelia, Arc 6 is special for another reason entirely. She is the one who grows the most here. The trials of the tower demand from her a kind of strength that goes beyond magical power, and the revelations she encounters inside the tower have direct consequences for understanding what she truly is and what her role in the world's fate actually means. Why this season matters more than the others. Re-Zero has existed for 10 years. In that time, it has built a global fan base of extraordinary loyalty. More than 16 million copies of the light novels and related works sold worldwide. Season 4 is premiering precisely in the year of the franchise's 10th anniversary, which alone would be enough to make it feel significant. But what truly makes this season historically important is that Arc 6 is considered by light novel readers to be the point where Re-Zero shows everything it is capable of. Through Arc 5 and leading into Arc 6, the series had been exceptional at building tension, developing characters, and creating a dense, consequential fantasy world. But Arc 6 goes further than that. It dives into the nature of return by death in a way that previous seasons had only touched on superficially. It confronts Subaru with questions that have no easy answers, about memory, about identity, about the cost of loving someone when you can lose everything at any moment. It also finally gives Amelia the narrative space she deserved from the very beginning. And all of this is being delivered by the same staff that built the series from day one, with a genuinely historic opening theme collaboration and 2 of the most exciting voice casting announcements the franchise has ever made. The pairing of Konomi Suzuki and Ashniko is the musical equivalent of telling the audience, this season is different. It is time to pay real attention. Re-Zero Season 4 premieres on April 8, 2026 in Japan, with a global simulcast on Crunchyroll. The premiere episode is episode 67 in the series' overall numbering, and the opening Recollect is already available on the official Re-Zero YouTube channel. If you have been sleeping on this season, you just got your wake-up call. See you next time.